Well, thank you, Chamberlain and Kayla. Well, the conversation you are having is about hardship on the people, and everyone is just looking for hope, opportunity to make it better. We are running democracy. We are running party politics in the country, and that's one of the ways in which people believe that change can come to people. So when we continue to hear stuff as petrol price hike, we are looking for options. So what options are there? Well, in the last election, we know that 3 main political parties, maybe 4, played in that general elections, the presidential election in particular. One of them is the Labour Party, and we are not unaware of all kinds of information coming from the Labour Party or coming out about the Labour Party and how to help them to stand as they should. This morning, Tanko joins us. Dr. Tanko is here with us in the studio. He's interim national coordinator, Obedience Movement Nationwide. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigeria.
Well, for now, the platform of the Obedient Movement is the Labour Party. And all of the things happening, the denials, all kinds of divisions that are happening and all kinds of interventions don't seem to be working. Can you give us a general background of what is happening and how the Obedient Movement is seeing it?
Okay. Interestingly, before the 2023 general election, a lot of Nigerians formed up different groups because they were disenchanted, they were angry about the way governance was done during the General Muhammadu Buhari's era. And so they were looking for exit point of building an egalitarian society. The only person that resonated with their aspiration in terms of speaking and connecting with ideological belief was Peter Obi. And at that time, people like us under the National Consultative Front, led by Professor Pat Utomi, Wale Okuni, a lot of people that I wouldn't want to mention their names form up this particular National Consultative Front. The National Consultative Front was looking for an opportunity of how to build a very strong force called the Third Force. And the Third Force was looking for a political party that can midwife this particular movement. Eventually, we got clues, but timing caught up with us. While we are doing ours, a lot of unsung heroes were doing theirs. So then it now came to a very crescendo where people now said, let's form a new party. The new party was not visible because of timing. So eventually, the Labour Party and Professor Pat Utomi and the Labour Party leaders agreed. This was mediated by Komefemi Falana. And then eventually, we got the Labour Party. That was when His Excellency Peter Obi joined the Labour Party. I was part of the committee, the electoral committee, that was organized to bring in the election that brought in His Excellency Peter Obi, where Professor Pat Utomi actually stepped down for him. So you see, it was a grand swell building. Then gradually, the messages of His Excellency Peter Obi connected very well with the Nigerian youth.
But it doesn't seem to have connected very well with the Labour Party itself.
No, that's where I'm heading to. Because at that time, the Labour Party platform was the very formidable, available political platform that we were able to use. So it connected. It connected because there was belief in each other that we must work together to wrestle the country. So nobody will say it didn't resonate, because why I tell you that it connected is because the labor movement, the Nigerian Labour Congress, and the party were able to come together and work as a team, because there was a problem even before the time. So, but you see, the movement now takes a life of its own, individually, because of the word good governance. The Obedient Movement is just about good governance, citizen engagement, building a synergy to have an egalitarian society, to have a country that is united and where fairness and equity and justice take supreme, to build a country where internationally you will be respected in the Committee of Nations, to make sure that leadership reigns supreme, good quality leadership reigns supreme. That is the quantum and the process of what really brought in the Obedient Movement. But as we go on, it becomes obvious that we cannot continue to move in that particular headless leadership. It gives room for purification of individuals. So His Excellency said, look, this is the time now to build this particular movement into a structural, formal level that will all move together and build a house, just like we see the PDM of Yumari Musa Yar'Adua and the rest of them. Majority of us, if you believe in good governance in Nigeria, trying to build an egalitarian society, automatically you are an obedient. So
you don't need a card carry.
That is the next step, because that is the next step. We are now formalizing it into a very well structured movement.
Let's quickly just wrap up. We'll come back to the obedient. But, you know, there is still a lot of discontent about the stakeholders meeting of the Labour Party, which was convened by Governor Otti of Abia State, and of course, you know, Principal Peter Obi, to resolve the crisis in the party. Now, there's still that question about the legality of that intervention, particularly whether it lines up or not with the party's constitution.
Well, you see, in that regard, all of this can be easily cleared with INEC. My own position as I sit before you is now building a strong, united, obedient movement.
I get that. I am coming there.
Yes,
we're coming there.
Yes.
The reason I'm asking is for now.
Yes.
Because without the obedient movement having a political platform, unless it evolves into a political party on its own, then the challenge of a platform of expression, of significance, of relevance, for now, the one that the obedient movement has is the Labour Party. So and generally from all that many people have been hearing, the obedient party and the Labour Party for now are not divorced. They are Siamese twins. They are literally conjoined where it matters. So how is the obedient movement interfacing in this matter to ensure that, you know, at least they still have a platform of expression for now?
What we are doing is to build structural building along the line to the polling unit, which of course we understand that was what we were accused of during the 2023 general election, that we do not have physical structure. We do not have structures at the ward level and all. So we take it up upon ourselves as a case in study that we want to build that structure.
Are you building it with Labour Party structures?
You know, the obedient movement, most of them are members of the Labour Party. Okay. But we have to really put them on ground and know that this is our own. So this is our building. This is our structure.
How are those members of the Labour Party who are part of the obedient movement seeing this whole fracas in the Labour Party?
Of course, if a lot of people were happy about the situation, we wouldn't have been jostling for issues and going back and forth. And that is why we are trying to make sure that the obedient movement take precedence. Because, you know, the obedient movement is wide. It's beyond the Labour Party itself. There are people who are not Labour Party members, but they are obedient in belief and all. So it is now this particular structure building that will put them into the right place and say, hey, let's look at how we can sacrifice to build a strong nation. Let's see how we can be represented at each of the polling units. Let's see how we can shape the narrative of good governance. How do we engage and changing the beliefs of whether it is a north or a south, as long as supreme position is of capacity, competencies, and then good governance that can help in the changing of the narrative to bring in the best out of us to lead us. These are the basic things.
Do you see, what's your take on the comment of the chieftain of your party, Mr. Nwabueze Onwuneme, who says that the intervention of Mr. Peter Obi and Governor Otti has saved the Labour Party from wanton destruction? How did that happen in the first place?
Well, like you know, in every party politics, you expect leaders to come into a situation where it is going bad. Some even said that His Excellency was not taking decisions. Those are the people who are saying so. But now when they took their decision as leaders, leaders are not interested in causing any division among their ranks of their people, because everybody that you see is very, very important. Even a madman on the street, even somebody check me and say, how would I say a madman is important? In politics, it is important. It's just that how you use him. You use him for violent purposes or you use him for, uniting purposes. Then you will get the best out of him. So in this case, leaders must come in to take over a situation and deal with it with good wisdom that can unite everybody together. So that is the take as regard to that. But for us, it's for us
But you haven't still spoken to the legality of that intervention.
That is domiciled with INEC. I'm not INEC.
No, I'm talking about that intervention playing a role of uniting the party and fostering peace.
Yes, of course, because everybody was touched. Everybody was invited for that discussion. So it is left for INEC to look at the legality and make pronouncements. So I have nothing to do with that at the moment now, because they are the electoral umpire. They know what the law says. It's better for them to make their pronouncements. So we'll leave that one as that.
Okay, now to the issues that the obedient movement and all of that.
Yeah.
What are your expectations from this intervention?
Well, my expectation is for us to have a united house that can give us a platform. We in the obedient movement are trying so hard to ensure that everybody understands that we need to work together as a team. And that means that we have to have a structural building of how that can happen. Now, I give you an example. You want to go to Sokoto, you have a lot of obedience. You want to go to Anambra, you have a lot of obedience. You want to go to Maiduguri, there are a lot of them. But we have not been able to put them together to say this is how we are as one house. That is our set target. Within the next few months, there will be announcement for registration, formal registration. We want to identify you where you are, what you do, so that at the end of it all, we are very much aware there are people who have been set up to infiltrate the ranks. In fact, when you make a statement, somebody will come and say, no. As of yesterday or day before yesterday, there was already a news going around that His Excellency was arrested in his house with his family and his wife. At the time this particular discussion was going on, we were in Kigali. We were right in Kigali addressing, being in a conference. So these are things that we want to eliminate. If we want to respond, we want to have people who have the capacity to respond in a very formal way.
And that is for the obedience movement?
Yes.
Exclusively for the obedient movement?
Yes, because what we want to have is building a bond.
Exclusive of the Labour Party?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to what can you compare the obedient movement? There are those who would say the obedient movement is, ebbing towards the aping the kind of movement that the Kwankwasia movement is. Is that what's
beyond that? Beyond that, because the Kwankwasia movement was trying to spread out, but the level of our own acceptability is quite large. And so we are not giving ourselves or kind of going ourselves along a particular interest. It's about general interest. What has to do with good governance. Like I told you, it's all brought up because of the reason and demand for a good governance.
Okay. Now, part of the comment that the, Rabbi Senator Kwankwaso had been quoted as saying is that, rightly or wrongly quoted, as saying that the Kwankwasia movement is a cult of sorts. Is that what the obedient movement is also?
Obviously no, because it's general. That's why I say it's quite different. Because ours is about demand for good governance that affects a Sokoto man. Good governance that affects a Lagosian. Good governance that affects a Kano man. Good governance that affects probably somebody from Nasarawa. We are talking about how do we get good water. We're talking about health. We're talking about education. We're talking about security for the people. These are basic needs.
Is the obedient movement looking at the possibility or necessity of forming a political party of its own?
At the moment, our target is first of all to get ourselves united and documented. Because we don't want purification, we want to know our numbers.
And eventually?
Well, eventually that will be decided. But for now, the most thing is first, we can't jump the gun. But let us move and build ourselves so that nobody will accuse us of not being together and being formidable.
Is there a remote possibility of the obedient movement evolving into a political party?
Well, like I said, I don't want to speculate on that particular because most of us are Labour Party members. And so, but we understand the fact that we needed to have a database of who we are and what we represent so that the narrative will be properly being put into general public. Because there are people who call us all kinds of names.
It goes back to what I asked about the Labour Party, which you really do not want to speak to. Because if most of you are members of the Labour Party,
yes,
and it so happens that even all of this intervention doesn't pan out the way the obedient movement wants it to pan out with the Labour Party, then what happens?
Look, let me give you an example. In politics, you need to have your base. You need to know those who believe in you, who believe in your ideology so that they can propel it and champion it. If you don't have them, you are just standing alone, no matter how the people love you, because you are not organized. So, in a case where you are building a political structure, you must be able to know X number of people in every ward who believe in you. If, for example, you build a structure and say that you have 5,000 people in each of the ward of 176,000 polling units, you will be able to know statutorily that this number will vote for you. And anywhere there's a meeting or any political discussion, those people from the ward will be able to defend your ideology.
So you are talking, this is about the obedient movement?
That's right.
Not the Labour Party?
At the moment, no.
Okay. Now, if the obedient movement is unable to fortify the Labour Party, why should anyone believe that the obedient movement can build itself?
No. You see, at the moment now, if that was what we are accused of, and so now we have come out and say we are formidable. This is our numbers. And within the Labour Party, we know ourselves. If we want to change a narrative that is not going well for the obedient movement, we have our people to speak to this particular issue, just like how it happens at the National Assembly. You must be able to defend that in what you believe in. His Excellency Peter Obi believes that Nigeria can be better. And you cannot be in a position of power to say you are not providing the people with water, you are not providing them with good network of roads, you are not providing them with good health, you are not providing them with employment opportunity. These are the beliefs that we have. So if we meet at a discussion where somebody within the party or somewhere is saying that no, I don't believe that we should take care of building roads or paying for or taking care of education, that goes contrary to my own belief.
Yeah, no.
So, but if you are not there, they will only push the narrative that they believe in. So, in a way, it is your strength. It is what that strengthens the constitution and the manifesto of the party or wherever grouping that you belong to. But if you don't have them, then you have nobody to speak for you.
I do get that. But the question that I'm asking is, I mean, there have been interventions to fortify the Labour Party that has not worked. And there have been court cases that, you know, went neither here nor there until we got to this point that we're in now. And then this intervention. Now, this is also not the first time Mr. Peter Obi has attempted to intervene in the political crisis within the party. And the NLC has also stepped in from time to time. Should it happen that this intervention does not give the desired result for the obedient movement, what happens? Will the obedient movement move out of the Labour Party? Will you be setting up your own political party? That's the question I'm asking.
One of the major problems that happened was an ab initio. Had it been that majority of the NLC and the obedient movement populate with documented fact, populate all the wards in the wherever political party they believe in. Politics is about democratic interests. It is the people that will champion a cause and change the narrative and speak to issues. But when they are not organized and they are not there, there won't be any sort of that discussion. So in a way, what we are trying to do, having understood this particular dynamics, we are now going back to say, let's form ourselves into this particular well-structured organization. That way, nobody will loud himself over us and change the narrative and not follow the constitution that binds all of us together. So in that case, if we eventually have it, it will be easy for the movement to be able to champion a cause even in any other organization. So for us now, if that particular building block is not established, there will be problems. Well, so we are building that particular structural documented. And once you're done, we know how to champion our messages across the line.
Okay. Will the obedient movement that you're talking about, who will be carry members, will they also be fee-paying members?
Of course, many of them contributed to the development of the obedience. Sure, you know that. Majority of them unsung, people who would not even know. And with this opportunity, I want to even thank every one of them.
So will they be fee-paying members once they get a membership?
Of course, when we get to that particular level, we must have a source of finance.
Okay.
We must agree on that.
All right. I'm sure that this conversation has only just started.
Oh, yes, it has just started.
Thank you so much for coming this morning. Dr. Tanko is the Interim National Coordinator, Obedient Movement Worldwide.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
All right.